لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
This question here, I'm not sure if you can take it. It says some people do not like staying at home. If they stay home, they are like absent-minded. We are many family members. I acknowledge that everyone is different. What should we do to make our heart to love our home? So this is one question here.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. First of all, I'm going to mention a hadith of Uqba ibn Amir radiallahu anhu. He says that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked, what's his najat? The term, we may have heard the term before, najah. Najah means savior. How does one protect himself and save himself? What will protect someone from the fire of hell? What will protect somebody from the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What will protect somebody from the outside atmosphere, environment? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked this question. He was asked this question by Uqba ibn Amir radiallahu anhu. It was a hadith of Tirmidhi. In the response, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said three things. Three things will protect you. Three things which will save you. Number one, amlik alayka lisanak. Hold on to your tongue. Protect your tongue. The second one, he said, وَلْيَسَعْكَ بَيْتُكَ. Your home should be sufficient for you. Your home should be sufficient for you. Then in another hadith, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it said, كُنْ حِلْسَ الْبَيْتِ. Become the doormat of your home. What Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is emphasizing here, and he's speaking about a time that will come when a person will leave his home and he will leave his home as a believer and return as a disbeliever. This is speaking about the time of fitna and trials and tribulations that will befall this ummah. Many ahadith have been related in this regard in Kitab al-Fitan of Mishkat al-Masabih. So what we have to realize as individuals is that the minute a person leaves the home, he is prone to committing an act that could be incurring Allah's wrath upon him. Immediately. When a person leaves the home, he is susceptible to seeing something or looking at something he is not supposed to look at. He is susceptible, and there are more chances of him falling into sin and temptation that he is not supposed to fall into. Therefore, we must say that it's better for a person to stay within the home as much as possible, especially in these times of trials and tribulations. Having said that, we acknowledge that it's within the nature of an individual to leave the home and gain fresh air and to benefit from the air that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Therefore, a person is allowed to do this. But I would really look at the reasons why a person does not want to stay at home. Is the home not a peaceful place? Is there disharmony within the home? Is there a clash and conflict between the family members? Why is the home not feeling like a home anymore? Once these questions are fully explored and questions can be answered and issues and matters can be resolved, then you will have a better picture of the situation. However, it's better that you adopt within the house an environment that is loving and caring. You always want to be around people that love you and that have your best interests at heart, that always have kind things to say. Maybe you are feeling like not staying within the home because there is no harmony in the house. So try and nurture harmony and a good relationship with the people within the house, and inshallah you will feel more at home when you're within your own house. And again, like Imams Zia was speaking about, the method of gaining sakina, why a house is called maskan, and why you are saying, Aina tasfud, where do you gain peace? A house must be, your home must be a home, not a house. It must be a home. We have to make it a place of sakina. Is smoking and drinking haram? Yes. Okay, smoking what? You ever asked? How do you manage your anger with your spouse when there is an upsetting situation that you need to deal with your spouse? Why did Imam Yaseen give me the hard question? How do you manage your anger with your spouse when there is an upsetting situation that you need to deal with your spouse? I think the situation is always that if you think that you will do something that you're going to regret later, like become angry, become mad, do something that you'll regret later, better for yourself to remove yourself from that situation. Walk out, go for a drive, go for a walk, get some fresh air. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ said about controlling anger. You seek the refuge, Allah's refuge from the shaitan, you drink water, you make wudu. Okay, these are all things that have been taught to us by the Prophet ﷺ in controlling the anger. And the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran itself, it has a special benefit and reward for those people that are al-kadhimin al-ghayth, that swallow their anger. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Laysa ash-shadid bi-sur'ah." The person who can throw another person down, he is not a strong man. إِنَّمَا الشَّدِيدُ الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. The strong man is the person who can control himself at the time of anger. So all of these things actually point to a person who actually, when he is controlling his anger, he is the one who has character. He is the one who has character. He is a person who is respectable. A person cannot and should not try to gain respect with the force of the stick. That is not respect. That will be respect which is temporary. As long as the stick is there, the respect will be there. And as soon as the stick is moved, the respect will be gone. Okay? So it's important to gain the trust and confidence of your spouse. And that can only be when you do not lower yourself to the level of the shaitan by becoming an angry person and getting rid of your frustration by doing things which are unbecoming of the character of a Muslim. It's mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ, he once made Aisha radiallahu anha angry for some reason, or she became angry and she smashed some plates. Can you imagine that? She smashed some plates. Did the Prophet ﷺ get mad at her? No, he bent down and started picking up the pieces. That's the Prophet ﷺ for you. And he is the one we need to emulate. He is the one that we need to follow in his footsteps. I've got a couple of text messages, questions. One of the questions was, how do you remember your speech without looking at paper? I was looking at the paper, but you didn't see me. It's a good trick. It's basically what you need to do. If you are thinking of doing speeches, remember this, that always write some bullet points that you're going to talk about. Okay? I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. And underneath this main heading, 1, I'm going to talk about this Quranic ayah and this hadith. Number 2, I'm going to talk about this Quranic ayah and this hadith. Number 3, and so on. So that those bullet points should be the main theme that you're going to talk about. And then the Quranic ayat, that basically you should have remembered that from before. It's not that you spend like a whole day memorizing it. It's just basically from practice and experience that it kind of comes to. Okay? If wife says to shave the beard because she does not like it, what should be done? Find another wife. I'm just kidding, okay? Don't do that. The basic ruling is this. لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. There is no obedience to the creation in the disobedience of the Creator. You cannot obey the creation when the Creator is being disobeyed. And the same thing applies. If he tells you to remove the hijab, okay, the sisters, if he tells you to remove the hijab, it's not working, it's not going to happen. You cannot disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while obeying even your parents. If your parents are telling you to do something which is against the Creator, you cannot do it. It's a line that you cannot cross. So the beard is an obligation,
Yes, the size of the beard, etc., it's a difference of opinion, but beard is obligatory as commanded by the Prophet ﷺ, that grow your beards and trim the moustache. Imam Yaseen, his beard doesn't grow, okay? So don't look at him, he's a baby face. There's one question which was related to something that I talked about. You've touched about love and muhabbat. I always hear from my wife that I don't love her. It is lust. Can you elaborate? Okay. Now here's where I'm going to give you a class in psychology. Women, they perceive love in a different way than men. Okay? If you want to show that you truly love your wife, then you're going to have to go out and do stuff that you think is silly. Okay? You're going to have to buy her flowers. I know you guys are thinking that what's the point of buying flowers? They're going to die in a week anyway. But you've got to do it. You've got to send her a love card from time to time. Send her a text message time to time telling her that you love her. Alright? Men perceive love to be different. They tie in the physical side of love with, love. They say that's love. Women, they tie in emotion with love. Right? So that's the difference there. Who knew that Imams could give you lessons in psychology, right? Is it good? Okay. Oh yeah, Imam Yaseen is saying breakfast in bed. I think he's experienced. Alright. So if you really want to show your wife that you love her, then you've got to do the silly stuff. Alright? Stuff that doesn't make sense to you, but somehow it filters into the woman's brain as portraying love.
There's a question here, how does one determine that a man has good akhlaq? Keep in mind, most cases the sisters has not met or dealt with the brothers. It's a two-way street. How does a brother know a sister has good akhlaq too? So the question should be, how does a spouse know, or how does a potential spouse know about the akhlaq and the qualities of a potential spouse? Well, we learn from the sunnah that you are allowed to see the person with the intention of marriage once, as long as it's chaperoned. You have a chance to talk and ask a few questions as long as it's chaperoned. I'm not speaking about dating here. You go to Starbucks with your MSA colleagues. That's not what I'm talking about here, Muslim Matrimonial Society of America. I'm not speaking about that here. I'm speaking about a halal, chaperoned visit with a potential spouse and ask them important questions. There is an excellent guide by Imam Majid Ali. You know Imam Majid Ali, the president of Islam? He has a questionnaire called Majid's 100 Questions. If there is a potential prospective spouse, ask them these 100 questions. You will catch them off guard. Then you will see the true nature of that person. But at the end of the day, you can never fully recognize one's character until you travel with them, live with them. So once you've done your homework, after consulting your parents, your loved ones, and asking around, and after making istikhara, you have to place trust in Allah Ta'ala at the end of the day. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. When you have made a firm resolve, now place your trust in Allah. If it happens and it works out, alhamdulillah. If it doesn't work out, you'll be a philosopher. If it doesn't work out, you'll be a philosopher. You know Aristotle? Was it Aristotle, I think, or Plato, one of them. He said that by all means get married. If you marry the right person, you'll be very happy. If you marry the wrong person, you'll be a philosopher. So that's number one. Number two, how does one repair a broken heart of a spouse? How does one repair a broken heart of a spouse? First of all, exploring the reasons why they are broken. if her heart is broken, or if his heart is broken due to a genuine reason, you have to respect where that person is coming from. Communication is a two-way street. Communication is not one-sided. Oftentimes, we think communication is one-sided. We have a view and we have a perspective, and we're not willing to look at the view of the other. We're not willing to learn about the experience of the other or where they are coming from. And this is a big problem in many marriages. For example, and I'm going to give you an ideal example, in many Muslim households where there is a dispute or a disagreement between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. And oftentimes the husband is always stuck in the middle. He has it the hardest. He's between a rock and a hard place. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a man, that I'm supportive towards brothers. Definitely not. I'm saying this because genuinely, on both sides, there are people that he loves that cannot get on for some reason or another. And he is stuck in between the two because he has a duty to serve and respect his mother, and he has a duty to please his wife and keep her happy too. If he sides with his mother, he becomes a mama's boy. And if he sides with his wife, he becomes Joruba Ula. So he's stuck. He's definitely stuck. He has nowhere to go. Nobody sympathizes with this guy. The wife is not willing to look at where he's coming from. And at the same time, the husband is blind following his mother. Right? Right, sisters? Yes. Sometimes guys blindly follow their mother out of love. Because they think, this is my mother, and my mother can never be wrong. Everybody likes to believe their mother is an angel. But remember, two women in one house, it doesn't always work. It's like the verse of Quran, لَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهُ لَفَسَدَتَا. If there was a God other than Allah in this world, there would be destruction. If there are two queens in one home, there's immediate destruction. Especially when lives have become so complex nowadays. Back in the day, it may have been different. A joint family system worked. Lives are much more complex today, and they don't work as much. It's like a person who, there was a joke a person made. What would happen if countries were ruled by women? He said, well, you'd get no wars, but you'd get a bunch of pissed off countries that don't talk to each other. That was the joke. And that's basically what happens. So now you have two women living in one house, and the guy is stuck in the middle. But now the communication is really important. If you come home as a husband, and you go to your mother, and your mother says to you, your wife got up late today. Or your mother says to you, I done all the cooking by myself. And your mother, she's not angry. She's just, what they say in Gujarati, chawi feri. She's turning the keys. Immediately, if you get enraged and you go upstairs to your wife and she's expecting you home and she's dressing up and she wants to look pretty for you, and you go in and you say, what time did you get up today? What have you been doing all day? Immediately the whole evening's ruined. So if one of them says something to you, you can't immediately go and take your anger out. You have to be calm, look at the situation and communicate, and look at the perspective of the other. So the question was, how do you mend a broken heart? First of all, it's not going to be on your terms, it's going to be on their terms. It's not going to be on your timing, it's going to be on their timing. You can't get frustrated and say, well, how come you haven't forgiven me yet? How long is this going to take? Trust is given out freely and easily, but once it's broken, it's very hard to regain. And you have to be willing to go for a rough ride to regain that. There may be times where you'll be rejected, you may be frowned upon, the spouse may be angry with you because they can't accept what you have done, but you have to be willing to take that grind. So you have to do it on their terms. Be willing to explore the reasons why they are mad with you and why their heart is broken, and try and work on it accordingly. How does a man deal with a wife's unpleasant behaviors? I mean the little ones or big ones that occur regularly. Remember one thing, you can't change anybody. You can't change people. If somebody has some habitual problems that you just, things that are not so major, but little things, like, for example, you have a pet peeve, and your wife leaves the light on all the time. Things like that, you just have to let go of things like that. You can't change a person. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you try to change them, you will break them. You have to leave them on their state. So if there are some major habitual problems with the behavior of the individual, yes, you have to address those. If there are small things that are not very huge, that are not very problematic, then you have to look at the bigger picture and be the bigger person and look at the success of the marriage and what's more important, have the best interest of the marriage at heart. And that's all I can say. Imams Zia wants to add something. Inshallah, I think we've had about 15-20 minutes already. There are lots of questions. But inshallah, you're going to have many opportunities to ask questions throughout the weekend. The love doctor, Imam Sheikh Yasir Birjas, inshallah, will be speaking tomorrow about love and nurturing love in a marriage. And inshallah, you can ask all these questions to him, because I truly believe he's an expert in this topic. Jazakumullah khairan wa khairan.